Hit well to center field. Deion Sanders going back to the wall, and it is gone. Bo Jackson homers.
It's over, and the Cubs have finally won it all. Sean Taylor will glide to the end zone.
Let's go!
Off the face-off, the Capitals have won it.
81-point game, 55 in the second half. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.
Thank you for downloading and/or streaming our newest episode of Infinity Sports. Now, if you came looking for the FBAS podcast because you missed last week's episode, you found it. We've just rebranded ourselves as Infinity Sports. And we've been doing this now. This is our second episode. What do you guys think of the new label?
I love the new digs. You know, it's always nice to get a new outfit. I think the image that you created, Wayne, you should be very proud. It embodies everything that we try and do, all the athletes that us three love. And the Infinity Sports is going to help us encompass more than just one small community that we all kind of started in and help us blow up to so much more. So we thank you all for the momentum that helped us get to this point.
Yeah, I love it. Feels good to get a new name and, like Jesse said, some new digs, a nice new logo that's, like he said, props to you, Wayne. That's some great work. I think it just gives us a wider audience. It's a more visually appealing logo. It's just a better sounding name. I really enjoy it. It's a good move forward for us, I think.
Now, just because we're called Infinity Sports does not mean you should try to find us for Show of the Month under Infinity Sports. The vote is still going on under Facebook All Sports. So when you visit the rtfsportsnetwork.com and you go to vote for Show of the Month, continue voting for Facebook All Sports. It's a big lead, but we're at the finish line, and I don't want any sneaky surprises with somebody getting 400 or 500 votes last minute.
Yeah, boys and girls, if you guys want to take part in the biggest massacre to date, then go ahead and jump on the rtfsportsnetwork.com, hit that top banner, vote for the Facebook All Sports, our former name, our old outfit, and now you can see how much we're crushing it by, and you can be part of that party.
First and foremost, we're very, very thankful, extremely appreciative for all the support we have gotten. But like they both mentioned, we don't want any surprises. You got to keep the foot on the throat and just get down there and finish it off. So we would really appreciate any more votes you got. And thank you very much, guys.
One of the things that RTF Sports is trying to do right now is continue to grow their brand, which is going to help us grow our brand as well. We are going to be on XM Radio at some point, iHeartRadio, Roku TV. But the big thing as it pertains to Infinity Sports is the blog section of the website. When you visit, it's going to say blogs are now live. You can read them. You can click on blogs and read what's there. I think there's about 16 or 17 on there right now, and they cover a broad range of topics. I believe I've submitted about 6 of those, and they range anything from general baseball stuff to in-depth stories about people you may not remember or may not have heard. And we're going to talk to one of those bloggers today at the end of the show about some of the controversial stuff that he's posted. But definitely check out the blog section, and you can comment under every blog. Let us know what you think.
Oh, Sully, listen to Wayne being humble. I've put out maybe 6 or 7 of these. He's put out maybe 15 or 16 of the 17 total.
Guy's a machine. He just pumps them out. He's getting out like 2 a day now, and they're great quality. Regardless of if you agree with his positions or not, I usually don't agree with his positions, but that doesn't mean I don't dislike the reads. I mean, they're great. They're not just going out there on a limb just to go out there on a limb. The guy backs it up. So get him out there, give him a shot, and give all of them a shot. Even Brandon Combs, the guy we're going to speak to later, he's got a good blog out. Again, you'll hear the debate at the end of the show. When we talk to him, I don't agree with the take, but again, it's a great read, and you guys should get up on that.
Now, Wayne, I don't want to steal any of your blog's thunders, but one of your more recent ones, it does touch on a guy that's been to a couple national championship games, huh?
It does. My newest one is called Overhyped, and it's all about Trevor Lawrence and how I believe that, and I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, and I point that out at the end of the blog as well. I say he's a very good quarterback. I just don't think he's as good as everybody else thinks he is. To me, he's not the next coming of Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck. He's going to be a solid guy, but not quite as what he's hyped up to be.
So you took a bunch of shots at him with like a shotgun, and then you gave him a sticker that somebody would get at like a dentist office at the very end of your blog.
If you mean taking shots as in providing facts, I did just that, yes.
That's all that Wayne does, huh, Sully?
I mean, this is the one I strongly disagree with. I don't think he actually backs this one up in the best way possible. I do agree that Trevor Lawrence regressed last season from what we saw him. However, I don't think that takes away from his overall ceiling. The guy's still far and away one of the better quarterback prospects I've ever seen, I've ever graded. Personally, I still do have Andrew Luck ahead of him, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence could easily surpass that with this next season. But I think he deserves every comment and every mention to be in that same breath.
From Wayne, our blog expert, to Sully, our draft expert, if Trevor Lawrence happened to be in this past year's draft, is he the first one taken?
Yes.
Hands down.
Over Joe Burrow in his historic year, huh?
Yeah, because Trevor Lawrence has been hyped for 2 years and Burrow was hyped for 1. So it's kind of like teams right now are dying to get their hands on Trevor Lawrence, and they have been since, last year's college football playoff.
Yeah, it's just like Wayne mentioned. Trevor Lawrence has been doing it for a long time. Not only his first 2 years in college, the Elite 11 camp he absolutely destroyed, and he balled out there, and teams kind of saw like his competitive nature and his actual drive and things like that there. And like his longevity, which he's only been here for 2 years, but his seasons of actually doing it more, I think would allow him to go first. Plus his ceiling is much higher. Like Joe Burrow, we've kind of seen the best of him. We know what he's going to be, kind of thing. I think Trevor Lawrence, the ceiling's the absolute limit for the kid. So.
Oh, and that Trevor Lawrence hair flow, bro.
I mean, I think he's the NFL's dream. He's marketable. He's clean-cut kid. He's never gotten into any trouble. He's got a big arm, a great smile. I think the NFL is really going to fall in love with this kid.
Sully may have to write his own blog to oppose yours, Wayne.
I would, except it'd be too easy at this point, so...
Well, the past 5 weeks, we've been discussing The Last Dance on ESPN. It's basically consumed all of our time, and now it's nice to kind of branch out and talk about some other topics, but we're still going to talk about The Last Dance right off the bat, because what we've learned since The Last Dance ended is that Michael Jordan is a big fat liar. Nothing he says is true. In fact, I think he won 0 MVPs. He only told us that he won some.
Wayne loves him some drama. He couldn't wait for this to come out back when we watched it in the episode. I remember sitting here recording with you guys, and he wanted this to actually, he's like, no, I want him to tell you guys that he kept him off the team. I want that. And, Jordan was, in my opinion, the better man on tape and said, no, it wasn't me that kept him off. I think we all know that it wasn't just Jordan that kept him off. That list includes guys like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Scottie Pippen, guys that had a ton of pull for that 1992 Dream Team. So to paint it all on Michael Jordan and to say that the documentary could just be 10 episodes of lies is crazy. I know that Wayne wants to question everything he's seen now because that's the comical character he can be. That's not what we saw. We saw his dominance portrayed in a way that we've never seen before. We saw unreleased audio and video. Him sobbing, him hitting shots, him in the locker room. So I don't take anything from this documentary away but just pure joy, excitement, and memories. The one lie, I don't put a lot of stock into. Honestly, would they have won any larger against those teams in 1992 with Isaiah Thomas on the team? I don't think so.
Well, would think it's one lie. I think more are going to come out, Jesse. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg and more things are going to fall. And, Horace Grant said a lot of it's a lie. Scottie Pippen doesn't like the way he portrayed and thinks he was misrepresented, which is just another term for lie. Again, I don't think it takes anything away from the documentary. I think what we watched was pure entertainment. I mean, it was amazing. 10 weeks of just shock and awe of what we were seeing in such a good way. I don't think that this lie takes anything away from that. I still think it's a great documentary. If you went into this thinking it wasn't going to be how Jordan wanted it to be, then you're very naive. He produced it. He was the driving force behind it. Of course, it's going to make himself look good. However, the guy lied. The guy's a liar, plain and simple. We know he's a liar. He lied about, God, who was the player they mentioned where he says he said something to him at the end of the game and then he went off and dogged the guy.
The Bradford.
Yeah, and LeBradford Smith, and he never said a fucking word to him. So Jordan's a known liar. He's going to do what he has to do. I don't see anything wrong with that. However, I just think it's more entertainment and really cool. I agree with Wayne. I wish he would have fucking had the balls to say it on the show. I get why he didn't, but I think it would have been more entertaining for him to say it then. What do you think, Wayne?
I think it would have been, that's what I was looking forward to. I mentioned it on the podcast because I think when I brought it up, I said, did you know Michael Jordan kept Isaiah off the Dream Team? And I think you guys are like, oh, no shit. And then,
yeah, I had no idea.
And then when it comes out, I was like, I look like a dummy. I looked like the liar because he was like, oh, I never said it. So, but it turns out Michael Jordan was the liar. And what I love that Jesse did in this whole thing is like, I am a great debater, and I should write a book about it someday, but one of the tactics I use in my debates that Jesse's using here is called redirection. And what that is when somebody has a better argument than you redirect to make it sound like they're saying something that they're not. So Jesse's bringing up this one point, like I'm saying that I'm offended that Isaiah Thomas was kept off the team, but I'm going to reiterate my point just to make sure we're clear. I'm saying Jordan is a liar. He's been accused of lying since this came out, and this is just proof of one of the lies, which makes me think it's the tip of the iceberg. If you get told that somebody carries around pennies in their pocket, and you say, no, they don't, and then one penny falls out, don't you kind of think there's more pennies in that pocket?
Is this really the first time that you're seeing pennies fall out of MJ's pocket, though, Wayne? I mean, this guy has been nothing but a bad guy in some people's eyes, even early on in his career, hanging around with Slim Bowler, and he was lying about that. He's been lying about his activity outside of his gameplay on the court for a long time. And the fact that this time it connected another player that we have to remember, this player, he made his own bed and he has to lay in it. Isaiah Thomas had the opportunity to be a better man and to shake Michael Jordan's hand and shake the rest of the Chicago Bulls' hands after they got beat in 1991, and Isaiah Thomas chose not to. Him and that team walked off the court. He's a schmuck, and he had a lot of beef with a lot of players on that squad. He was rightfully kept off that squad. His own coach didn't fight for him.
That I want to hear. I'm really glad you brought that up, because the audio that comes out says, I'm not playing for that fucker, and then it says Chuck doesn't want him on the team. Now, if Chuck Daly didn't want Isaiah Thomas, I think that's the bigger thing that's completely getting blown by and nobody's talking about at all because Jordan lied. I think Chuck Daly maybe coming out and saying, I didn't want Isaiah Thomas on this team is one of the bigger talking points because Isaiah Thomas is supposedly his boy. So maybe this Isaiah Thomas beef goes deeper than we think. But again, a masterful job at redirection, Jesse, because it doesn't discount from the point that Jordan is lying. And it's more so, I think, of we watched this documentary, we were all on the edge of our seats, and now it's not tainted. I will never say that, but how much of it is true? Does this turn into a real documentary, or is this one of those National Geographic mermaid documentaries that they portray as a real documentary? You know what I mean? Oh, we found evidence of mermaid, but it's fucking fake. Like, how much of this was actually just Michael's head and Michael's story, and not actually the real story? Now, again, that doesn't take from away how entertaining it was, but it does make you question just how deep do the lies go.
So I know you like numbers, Sully. MJ, your argument was he actually deserved and should have won 5 of those 6 regular season MVPs, correct?
I mean, I think he deserved all of them.
All right,
he probably deserved the Charles Barkley and the Karl Malone one, too.
So he could have won 6 regular season MVPs. And then we go even more in that direction. We want to go on numbers. I've got numbers to back up. You say, oh, well, is this really just a 10-episode smear campaign? Is it something that Michael Jordan just painted like he's Bob Ross? And no, that's not the case. You said it yourself in these episodes that we've recorded that he kept so many Hall of Famers away from championships. You're not going to question that, right? You're not going to question the stats he did.
Greatness. Nobody's questioning how good he was or anything like that.
That's what this documentary was. What were you hoping to get out of this thing? This documentary
was... No, it wasn't. This documentary was specifically the 98 season.
The career of this guy. And we watched it and we were in awe. But as soon as it ended, let's tear it apart. Let's pick it apart.
Because what else is he lying about?
Yeah, pick apart the documentary. Nobody's picking apart Jordan. Like, we all still think Jordan's amazing. And actually the documentary was fantastically entertaining. Like, Dan said, a great example, like you said, the mermaid thing. I think of when they did Shark Week, they did a Megalodon, like, is the Megalodon still alive?
Yes, exactly.
I bought it hook, line, and sinker, by the way. And then it'll...
Yeah, me too. I think it's a real documentary, and it's not.
And then, and like I said, I'm not saying that Jordan, 90% of it's false. What I'm saying is that after it came out, a bunch of people came out and said he lied about stuff. I didn't believe them when they said it, because I thought it was just them being sour about how they were portrayed. But now that lies are starting to come out, I'm thinking maybe all of them are telling the truth, not MJ.
Like, specifically, Jesse, I'm not taking anything away from Michael, but when they say Michael would punk a lot of players in practices and be a bully and things like that, well, Horace Grant has come out and said that's really not that true. Yeah, he'd punk certain players, but the most of the players would not let it happen. So just little things like that just aren't lies, which, I expected. Again, I expected it to happen because it's Jordan's point of view. And I'm not taking any of the greatness away from the guy. He's still a god. He literally walks on water. But what else was embellished? Maybe not lied. What else was embellished? That's all. I just would like to know. Not that it ruins it for me. I just like to know what else was embellished.
I'll give you an example of 2 things. I think one thing that shouldn't have been in the documentary at all is the Scottie Pippen wanting to sit out on a certain play.
Completely disagree.
That didn't take place in 1998. That didn't take place when Michael Jordan was on the team. So he didn't have to shame the greatest teammate that he had in that way. And a way that he could have embellished and probably did is the food poisoning game. I think we all had questioned whether he was sick or not leading up to that. I'm pretty sure that it was a hangover. I think this guy had a very heavy drinking night, and he went out there with a hangover.
Yeah, see, and I mean, if you believe that too, then that's kind of just what I'm saying. Is like, what else did he embellish? It doesn't take anything away from it. Honestly, I still think the pizza story is fucking entertaining. But, was it the truth? Who knows? And I'd just like to know. I don't think it's going to take anything away from the doc. It was still amazing.
You guys must really feel strong. We saw what Michael Jordan did just to make enemies. And the fact that you guys on air, on the large audience of the Infinity Sports Podcast, you guys are going to poke the bear and Michael Jordan, I can't believe you two.
I mean, if Michael Jordan makes this or listens to this, I will gladly and honorably make the list.
We know he's listening. Join us whenever you want, MJ.
No, I don't want your lies on the show, MJ. You stay home.
Yeah, the master debater doesn't want you.
Now, this kind of leads into the fact that ESPN's follow-up documentary series is going to be next season or next year, 2021, and it's going to be called Man in the Arena, all about Tom Brady. Now, at first, as a Patriots fan, super psyched to see this. Love the idea of seeing this. And I know that Tom Brady did his whole Tom Brady little 5-part miniseries that he did a couple years ago, and it was entertaining to see him at home, to see him with Giselle, to see him practicing. The thing that I think I'm going to miss watching this is that unlike The Last Dance, Phil was very open because that's who he is. I don't think we're going to get any Belichick out of this. If we do, it's going to be press conferences and things like that. I don't think Bill Belichick is going to participate in this documentary.
Not only do I agree, Wayne, that we won't get any Bill Belichick, I think it's way too soon. The fact that he could possibly still be playing in the year 2021, and we're going to be getting a documentary on, do we know if it's a particular season, his career up to this point? I don't think anybody really knows, and we may find out details as it gets closer, but to me, as a Patriots fan, it's too soon. And I think one of the largest reasons that The Last Dance was such a success is that it took a large step away, it gave us time to breathe, and then boom, here's a story of 20 plus years ago of one of the greatest players, one of the greatest teams, one of the greatest dynasties. The fact that we're getting this so soon, I mean, I feel like I haven't even gotten a chance to separate from Tom Brady enough to enjoy this. I mean, Sully's just getting a chance to embrace him.
Which is honestly like the perfect storm. I'm not a big fan of the New England Patriots franchise, only because I just hate when I can't win and other teams do. So I'm naturally just not going to like that. I want to see my team win, and I don't want to see the same team win over and over. So I have a disdain for the Patriots franchise. That being said, I obviously now love Tom Brady and welcome him to my franchise with open arms. And I agree, though. I think it's going to miss a little bit because Belichick isn't as behind the scenes. Now, maybe Kraft will be kind of the same guy that Reinsdorf was, because I think Kraft is very open and is willing to be. I think that could be a really cool aspect. But, I mean, just to be able to follow that dynasty around, I think it is going to be a very interesting watch. I'm really looking forward to it. Tom Brady's got a historical training regimen and a historical offseason program that it's renowned around the sporting world. So I'm interested to see if they go in depth beyond into that at all, and how much they follow specifically just him around or team, because, this documentary, The Last Dance, was focused purely on like the 98 season. I don't know if this is focused purely on just Tom Brady, just a specific season, what it is, the timeline, things like that, but I'm really looking forward to it.
I think another thing that we'll miss is we saw MJ and a lot of these other guys not just be brutally honest, but be able to be colorful, kind of swear. And I'm not sure if Brady or the other guys that would partake in this, because some of them could certainly still be active or trying to get jobs on TV, would be as open, honest, and colorful as the people we saw, take part in the Last Dance documentary.
I disagree. I mean, I've seen Tom Brady swear quite a bit in some of his off-the-field stuff when they show video of him. When he did the 5-part miniseries, he said the F-bomb, he dropped shit, he said all kinds of stuff. So I don't think he's going to hold back at all, and I don't think anyone would. The only thing is just Belichick not being part of the interview process. I'm sure Kraft will be, like you said, but I don't know how, especially since he's still playing and everything's still going on, how deep and dark they're really going to get with Brady. Because what I want to hear, you show me a 12-second clip of Bill Belichick saying, I wanted to move on from Tom, and I traded Jimmy because that's what I was told to do. I'm in. You show me that clip, and I'm in.
That should be the trailer for Wayne, then.
Well, I mean, I think you said you disagree with Jesse and said they won't be able to say certain things, and then you said that you don't think they'll be able to get darkened down with Tom Brady, and I think those points coincide. I think Jesse makes a great point. A lot of these guys are still going to be in the league and still playing, and I still think be able to face ramifications from the league. So they're not going to be able to leak anything that like clubhouse stuff or like what went on behind the scenes. We're not going to get the real story on Deflategate. We're not going to get the real story on Spygate, I don't think, any of those things, because they can still be facing ramifications. It's not 25 years down the road, like, you know, when Tom Brady's already in the Hall of Fame, already got his bust up, already kind of not forgotten, but you know what I mean, his playing days are forgotten, and he can say anything he wants like Jordan can now, and the Bulls players can. Now, a lot of these guys are still going to be in the league. They can't come out with, we're all getting drunk before the Super Bowl and things like that. You can't say that shit, you know, so I don't know.
Yeah, it all comes down to timing to me, and honestly, it's just too soon.
So going from Tom Brady, we're going to transition into the NFL, who released its 2020/2021 schedule earlier in the month, and I got a chance to look through it, some of the matchups, and pretty excited, one, that the NFL schedule came out. And I know that we talked about this on previous podcasts, how the NFL is God, and how incredible is it that all this news is coming out about different things happening and different players and different sports. And the thing we get the most excited about is the NFL schedule's out. We can look at something that has the word NFL on it.
Oh, absolutely. We know the NFL is king. We're a little late to the schedule release party, but we know all you guys and gals are still going to be excited to listen to our takes on what we think are going to be the best games throughout the upcoming season.
You know, I do think the schedule release gets a little overblown, and I think it especially did this year because of everything that was going on. It's like this whole show, and ESPN does this whole countdown, and I actually fucking hate it. But I am very excited that it's back. I'm very excited that we have the NFL to talk about, because it's so much projections at this point, we have no idea. But man, it's still fun to just throw it around, and like Jesse said, NFL's king, baby.
Yeah, right now when you have the virus that's taken over and we've got so little sports for us to be able to absorb, the fact that the schedule is going to come out and we can just sit there and project, and that's what we all do. We pull out our team schedule and we go win, loss, maybe, win. We all do that. So Sully, I know you were doing that. You're getting excited with that Tampa Bay Buccaneers schedule.
Oh, I mean, no doubt. It's a brand new season. It's a brand new time. And, you know, I think everybody's excited. I know Wayne's excited to see his boy Stidham bomb and totally fail in his first season. So I think we're all just really excited to get it going.
I am very excited to see the Patriots. And when I was doing my little win-win-loss-win thing on their schedule, it's funny because I had been predicting for months and months now on the podcast that they're going to finish the season 11-5. And when I did my win-loss thing, I went down and I did not get 11-5. I got 12-4.
Of course you did. I thought you were going to get 14-2, honestly.
19-0. We're going to make up for it.
We never know with you, Wayne. Of course, you had to pick more wins than any other team in the division. I'm sure you have the Patriots win the division again.
Winning the division and winning the conference.
Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves into the postseason, but week one, I'll start us off here. I've got a game that probably isn't the one that some of you all would think I'm looking at in week one. But I'm actually looking at the Titans and the Broncos. And the reason I am is because the Titans, with Ryan Tannehill, the momentum they made as a team and as an organization to beat the Patriots and possibly stake claim that they broke up Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and they changed that team forever, they can do that. And so we're going to see how they're going to go into this upcoming season with that offense. And we're going to see the Broncos after they have not only committed to Drew Lock, but they have spent so much of their offseason adding to that offense with picks like Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. So I think they did so many good things for that offense that's going to be a fun way for us to start that season with two offenses.
I actually like that pick a lot. It's not the normal pick, but I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. I think the Denver Broncos are a team that's trending upwards. I'm not the biggest fan of Ryan Tannehill, and I actually think the Titans are in for a downswing. But like you mentioned, I think the Broncos offense is really fun and exciting to watch. I like Phillip Lindsay a lot. I think Noah Fant's going to be a good player on that team, so that's going to be a fun game. My week one matchup, or the first matchup I want to highlight, is week one also, and it's the matchup I think everybody's going to talk about. It's the Bucs at Saints to start the season. I mean, it is the two NFC favorites, I think, to come out and represent for the Super Bowl, and they're also division rivals. So, I mean, this game's just going to set the tone for the season, I think, for both teams. We normally play them very well on the road, but I don't love that we're starting on the road. I think out of the first couple games, if this becomes our only loss, I'll be really excited and really happy with what we do. I don't think we're going to lose, but I mean, I'm really excited for it and obviously see what Tom Brady can do.
Yeah, I think that Tom Brady in the division has never had a quarterback to face like Drew Brees. So the fact that he's going to have to face this type of quarterback twice this season is going to be a fun watch, and it's probably going to be one of the highest rated games of this season.
As a Patriots fan, my big thing is when I watch the Patriots games every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whenever they're on, I don't really care about watching any other games after that, but I found myself almost contemplating whether I want to get the NFL season package or whatever it is, just so I can watch all the Bucs games as well.
I kind of thought you guys might. When this happened, I figured Tampa Bay would get a lot more fans, and we have gotten a ton of bandwagon fans, obviously, but not more just fans, but more watchability, and our ratings will go up just because a lot of people want to see us play now. We're an interesting team.
Now, Wayne, your first game may not be in week 1, but what's the first game you're looking forward to?
No, it is actually week 1. The first game I was looking forward to was the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers, because I do feel like the addition of DeAndre Hopkins to that Cardinals offense, I think Kyler Murray, looking as good as he did the second half of the season last year, looks just really great. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's mobile. I like him a lot. I think he's actually, at the end of the day, going to be a better version of Russell Wilson. He's not now, and I'm not saying at the end of the season, but at the end of his career. And to see them start the season off against the defending NFC champions, I think is a great first week.
Excellent matchup pick.
Yeah, we are all very excited to see Cliff Kingsbury with that offense.
Yeah, excellent pick. I think that's such a fun matchup. I actually have that game highlighted I think they play week 16, because I think that may be a division actually, that game will matter for who wins that division. Yeah, it is. It's week 16, and I'm really excited because, like you said, I'm really high on the Cardinals this year. I think the addition of DeAndre Hopkins is going to be huge. I like what they did on defense, too. Adding Isaiah Simmons is just a tiny piece. They also added Jordan Phillips, who I think is a really good run stuffer. A lot of things they did, I think they did really well. And I think they're going to challenge San Francisco for that division, and I think Week 16 is going to be the ending point. But I think, obviously, like you said, Week 1 is going to set the tone for both teams for that division.
That's awesome that we're starting week 1 with 3 different games that we're all very much looking forward to. Sully, the next game I know you're looking forward to is a matchup of 2 recent MVPs.
Yeah, I think this is the first game that everybody's kind of got highlighted on their actual list. Chiefs at Ravens, Monday Night Football, Week 3. That game's going to be bananas. My thoughts on Lamar Jackson, I think, are known at this point. I'm not his biggest fan. I think he's due for a regression and a big one this season. However, he may not be, and at week 3, he may still be lighting it up. I'm a huge Patty Mahomes fan, and I think the guy's the next coming of the great one, and I think we're watching it happen in real time. And so, obviously, that matchup's going to be huge.
Wayne, what is your take on Lamar Jackson?
I think Lamar Jackson is a superstar. I think that watching him at Louisville, I thought he was going to be a superstar because he wasn't just an option quarterback. So there's guys like, if you're not really a college football fan, you may not remember the name, but Denard Robinson played for Michigan. And he was a straight up wildcat quarterback, and they made him a running back when he got to the NFL, which is what they talked about doing with Lamar Jackson. But watching Lamar Jackson at Louisville, he could throw the football. He was throwing for 300 yards a game. He won the Heisman, and I actually wanted the Patriots to take him in that draft. But hey, we took Isaiah Wynn and Sony Michel, so all right, awesome. I really would have liked Lamar Jackson, and I think that he's on an upward trend that's going to continue upward, and I can see him winning multiple MVPs in his career.
All right, so the next game that I'm actually looking forward to is going to be a couple weeks later, and that does involve a team that we've already spoken about in the Arizona Cardinals. I think in Week 6, we're going to see the Cardinals go at Dallas Cowboys and see 2 amazing offenses, and by this point, we're going to know which direction these teams are headed in this upcoming NFL season. And, just thinking about the weapons that the Cowboys were able to add with CeeDee Lamb, being added into an offense that already has Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and Dak Prescott, if he signs, or it's going to be Andy Dalton throwing all those guys against, Arizona Cardinals that, like Wayne's already mentioned, I'm a big fan of Kyler Murray. This guy's going to have a lot of weapons. Cliff Kingsbury loves to spread those guys out and score points. So I think that this Week 6 matchup is going to be just firepower.
That is going to be an incredibly fun game to watch.
I do like you said, a lot of offensive weapons, a lot of offense in that game. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a 42-37 game or something like that, because all the receivers that Dallas has, the spread offense from Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray being able to throw the football the way he does. My only concern would be the Dallas Cowboys pass rush is solid, and adding Aldon Smith, we don't know what he's going to come back like, but if he comes back like old Aldon Smith, that's going to be a really dangerous game for Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know. I'm not in love with Dallas's pass rush, I think, as much as you are, and I don't believe Aldon Smith can come back to what he was. I mean, I don't think the guy's played a snap in 3 years. It's tough to come back and play football after that long. However, if he does, he could be in trouble. Arizona is not known for having the best offensive line, so.
We've mentioned 2 Arizona Cardinal games, and the defensive player you've mentioned, Wayne, isn't even on that team, yet they drafted just a superstar in Simmons, correct, Sully?
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be a crazy, fun guy to watch for that defense too. So fun offense, fun defense. I think by week 6, that's going to be a fun one.
I will say that the game that I am the most excited about, the most jazzed about, is got to be December 25th, Friday. We have a Christmas Day NFL game. I don't know the last time it's happened, if it's ever happened, but I really hope that...
Are you serious?
100% serious. Minnesota Vikings at the Saints. So we've got 2 teams that are going to be contending at that point, and we don't have to watch fucking basketball. Fuck you, NBA. That's right. We don't have to watch the Cleveland Cavaliers and their shitbag team play against the Sacramento Kings as game 4 of a quadruple header. We can turn on the NFL on Christmas Day.
Let's fucking go. I had no idea that was happening. It's gotta be, what the fuck? I've never heard of that. That's amazing. Let's go, NFL.
Not only is the NFL cucking the NBA out of their huge holiday, but they are going to put a great game out there. I mean, the Vikings and Saints is not the Texans and the Titans, so I'm excited to see a matchup of 2 teams that have certainly had late season sparks in recent years. That's
a great little point, Wayne, that you snuck in there. That take over Christmas like they did Thanksgiving. Have a fucking triple header, morning, afternoon, nighttime. Just fucking own the day.
The morning game would be fantastic. Yeah, you got all the kids opening presents. You're like, shut up, kids.
Shut up, kids. Tom Brady's on.
Daddy, will you help me put my bike together? Shut up.
I need 6 more points from Christian McCaffrey.
I had one more game on here that I had listed or circled was the September 17th game. It's the 100th birthday for the NFL, and they're going to have the Browns versus the Bengals. So we're going to get to see whether or not the Browns are for real for the 3rd year in a row. They said they were for real. We'll find out. Probably not. And then you get the Bengals with Joe Burrow at quarterback. So 2 kind of potentially crappy teams, or it could be a fun matchup.
Yeah, Mayfield versus Burrow could definitely be fun, and an early season matchup that will definitely bring eyes to the screen, especially when this pandemic allows us to see football again. And I think it's kind of different that we're not hearing Baker Mayfield, and we're not seeing his commercials a lot this offseason, huh, guys?
You know, I mentioned this in an earlier pod we did. I have the Browns winning this division, and so I'm drinking the Kool-Aid again. I'm going to dive in and be a part of this bandwagon right here. So I actually do think this game's going to be really important. I think the Bengals are an up-and-coming team. I don't think they're going to be very good this year, but I do think it's going to be a fun game to watch, and it's going to mean a lot. Every one of these division games in the North I think is going to be very important, because I think the Steelers are going to be a much better improved football team, especially if Ben Roethlisberger even is 80% of what he was. You know, obviously the Ravens are a decent ball club, and then I think the Browns are a really good football team. So I'm really interested to see this game.
Looking over the schedule, do you guys have any potential Super Bowl matchups that you've already kind of planned out?
My Super Bowl prediction is actually going to be the New Orleans Saints and the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, they don't get a chance to play in the regular season, which is perfect. We get to see 2 highly touted teams in either conference meet in the Super Bowl, and I think it's going to be a great game. And I have the New Orleans Saints winning and giving Drew Brees his 2nd ring on his way out.
It's a likely matchup. Could see it happen. I think, they're the 2 favorites in each respective conference, so I could see it happening. I'm going to go a little kind of off the beaten path here. Obviously, not for the NFC. I'm taking my home team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think defensively, offensively, I think we're a really sound ball club, and I think we got a really good shot. On the AFC side, I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts. I know this is going to shock some folks. I think this is a really, really, really sound ball club and organization through and through. I don't think they're going to wow a lot of people and beat a lot of teams like impressively or things like that, but I think they're built to win ball games. They got an extremely good offensive line. They're going to run the football. Phillip Rivers, I think, is going to be a vastly improved player for that team. I think he's going to be a really needed veteran presence for that team, and I think they're going to go 12-4, win that division, kind of have an easy road through the playoffs, and then shock the world and beat the Chiefs.
I don't buy that offense to get to that point. I like Phillip Rivers. I think he's going to end up being a Hall of Famer, but for him to be able to click with that offense that I don't think has enough receiving threats, I don't see that for the Indianapolis Colts. It's certainly shocking, and it would be crazy, and I would definitely tell you to put some money on it, Sully, because that would win you all kinds of buku bucks.
Well, yeah, I just kind of want to defend myself a little bit there. I do agree that Indianapolis, their offense isn't the best, but again, I don't think they're going to try to beat a lot of teams with offense. I think they're going to try to grind a lot of teams out. They were the 7th best team in rushing last year, and I think that's kind of what they're going to do continuously. I think they're just going to pound the rock down people's throats and just win a lot of 23-14 games and things like that. I just see them as a team that can win a lot of football games, not necessarily score a lot of points.
I just call it the homer in me, but my whole pick is I have Tampa Bay and I have the New England Patriots meeting in the Super Bowl, the dream matchup, mainly because it's just what I really want. Just like last year, I wanted the Patriots and the 49ers, and just like in the NCAA tournament for basketball, I always choose Duke versus UNC in the finals, and it's never happened. But I'm going with the Patriots and the Buccaneers, and it says I'm all in. I'm going all in, right? In for a penny, in for a pound. I'm going in. Patriots win the Super Bowl.
Well, ratings, baby.
Wow, you really, I mean, is Stidham's dick just placed inside of you at all times? Or, I just don't understand it.
You talk about being a fan of the Kool-Aid, the team Kool-Aid, but, Wayne must be eating all the food and drinking all the beverages from the Stidham camp because he loves that offense this year.
That's right. He's actually a paid advertiser for the show. You guys just don't know it.
You ain't go Stiddy.
So if that's how we figure the Super Bowl is going to turn out, then going into our MVP candidates, I know we all kind of have some dark horse candidates and favorites. My favorite to win it, if I was a betting man and I had to wager my own funds, would be Russell Wilson. I think he's going to have a great year, and he's just an amazing quarterback that I underestimated early in his career, and I won't do again. I think he is probably my favorite for MVP. But my dark horse candidate would be Saquon Barkley. I think he stays healthy all year, and he's a 2,000-yard all-purpose guy.
You must hope that the New York Giants end up having a decent record then, huh? Because not too many MVPs end up with doo-doo teams.
I would say 9-7.
Not too many running backs become MVPs in this day and age either. But I do think it's a solid dark horse choice.
Who you got, Sully?
For my dark horse, I actually have Kyler Murray. I'm all in on this bandwagon right now. If I have a second favorite team in the league right now, it's the Arizona Cardinals for sure. I love everything this franchise is doing, and I think Kyler Murray's in for a huge season in his second year. But like Wayne said, if I'm putting my money on somebody right now, it's going to be that bad man, Aaron Rodgers. I think he's my favorite to win it this year. I think he's just going to have a fire lit under him. I like him with the new offense and the new coaching staff there. I just think they're going to have a really good year.
You like him with that new offense. Sully, they drafted 0 receivers.
That's okay. They still got Devontae Adams, baby.
All right, well, my MVP candidates, I have my favorite being Drew Brees. I have this really being a storybook season for him, winning the regular season MVP and then going off into the Super Bowl against the Chiefs and winning that game as well, and then walking off into the sunset. So I think that would be very storybook. That's my favorite. And my dark horse, and I think it's a dark horse because the guy's not even on his team yet, and that's Dak Prescott. I've talked about how high-powered I think that offense will be and can be, and I think when Dak Prescott signs, he's going to gel with that offense that he's already had so much time with, that they added CeeDee Lamb, and he's going to put up some superstar numbers beyond what he's put up so far in his career.
Yeah, I agree with both those. I like both those picks. I think it's pretty shocking out of all three of us, nobody mentions Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson for the MVP.
I think it's more shocking that we didn't mention Patrick Mahomes, the guy that's the reigning MVP, the guy that I think we could certainly see returning to the Super Bowl. He can have plenty of his MVPs. We see a long career and a lot of success out of this guy.
I mean, Lamar Jackson's the reigning MVP. He was a unanimous MVP.
Touche.
With the NFL out of the way, we head into the NBA news. And before we get to the whole NBA possibly coming back, I think the bigger news, because it's already been announced, is that the 2020 Hall of Fame class, which is Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, and Tim Duncan is going to be announced in 2021. And that's all well and good. I'm glad they're postponing it. The thing that pisses me off the most about it, though, is in 2021, you've got Chris Bosh and Paul Pierce, who are pretty much your locks to go in for 2021. And I do not want to see Kobe Bryant going with Paul Pierce. Get Paul Pierce the fuck out of there.
They should absolutely keep these solid three together and push any others just a year out. All these solid locks that are going to eventually get in, they owe this to these three. And I think everything in sports and in basketball is going to have to take a step back, and specifically due to the virus.
I 100% agree, Jesse. That's what I was going to. They should not have a class of 2021. This should be their class of 2021, and there just shouldn't be a class of 2020. And these three guys should go in on their own. They shouldn't have to go in with other guys. This class was one of the greatest, most special classes we've ever seen. I mean, all three of these guys are just legends upon legends upon legends. I think it salts their legacy a little to put them in with guys like, and don't get me wrong, I don't think Paul Pierce and Chris Bosh are bad players. They're obviously Hall of Famers. I don't think anyone's going to mention any of them in the same breath we mention these three guys, and I think that's just special. I think these three guys we're talking about are all top 20 players in ever, and it's just a special, special class that needs to be recognized as so.
And it's a little bittersweet for me. I think I mentioned it in one of the first episodes we did, which is that I was going to get tickets to this induction. I've been watching the tickets, waiting for them to go on sale for about 2 years now. I said, because I knew that this was the class. I knew it was going to be KG, Duncan, and Kobe. Kobe being my all-time favorite basketball player. My friend Steve, his all-time favorite basketball player is Duncan. So I was going to have the two of us go. I was going to put up $1,200 for the two of us to get in to meet and greet Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan, which would be worth every nickel. And just his passing, it really kind of sucks that I was really going to pay for the money to go meet him.
Yeah, his passing is the only thing that puts a heavier damper on the Hall of Fame induction. The only thing that's heavier than the virus right now is his passing.
Man, that's got to be rough, Wayne. I mean, to be so committed to seeing it, and then this. I mean, I didn't know you were going to the Hall of Fame induction or planned on it and things like that. Honestly, you should probably still go. I think it would mean a lot to go. You know, obviously you're not going to get the meet and greet, and I don't know if I'd pay for it, even for Tim Duncan. Maybe your boy pays for the Tim Duncan side. But man, just to go and see him be inducted after his death with his wife there and children, I honestly think that'd be a pretty big moment, man.
Yeah, it might be. I just have to go save it for, something else. My next favorite player, I guess, whoever it is when they get in. But yeah, I guess so basketball is coming back, and they've got talks right now. It's going to be played in Orlando at a couple of different facilities, no fans most likely. And they're going to do a playoff, maybe some regular season games. But the big talk, the idea that I love, they've pitched several different ideas for the playoff format. And the one that's my favorite is the no conferences. Just 1 through 16, the top 16 records get in, and they're just going to go, Los Angeles plays the Nets in the first round. So East versus West right off the bat. You don't have to wait to see an Eastern Conference champ and a Western Conference champ, just top 16 teams. I love the idea.
Yeah, the 1 through 16 is new. It's something that I think that Adam Silver, who is a super innovative guy and commissioner, has been tossing around for a while. So when and if he implements this format, I think it's here to stay. But it's not the one that I love. I think the reasons that I don't like this particular format is that we don't get to see some of those long rivaled history matchups, the Pacers Bulls, those things that, we got to see in the Last Dance documentary that we won't get to see because of the Eastern Conference build up and then the Western Conference build up. Also, I think teams like the Milwaukee Bucks are going to cry wolf because of them having to go through the Clippers and then the Lakers if it ends up being that way, because that's what it would have to look like in this 1 through 16 format, and that is just a gauntlet that they would never win.
I mean, I think it's fantastic. I think this is the best idea, and I think they should adopt this after this season's over. You say you don't get those great matchups, but, I mean, you still have that chance to. Like the first round, we'd have Celtics-Sixers. I mean, that's a fantastic matchup that everyone would love to see. And then you get Heat-Thunder, which we'd never get a chance to see in the regular playoffs. I mean, things like that is just amazing. And then, second round, I mean, you talk about the Bucks got to go through Clippers. Shit, the Clippers would have to get through the Celtics or the Sixers in the second round, which we would never get to see that matchup. That's arguably a finals matchup that we're getting to see in the second round of this playoffs. I mean, that shit's amazing. And that's why you watch these playoffs. I think this is just such a win. It's such a great idea. I cannot wait for this if this is what happens.
I don't like that you two are agreeing.
You'll never see me side with Wayne usually. So
yeah, it's a rare sight, so that's why I don't like it happening right now. I do see the benefits of it. I see the benefit of taking this opportunity during the pandemic to kind of scrap what previously was happening with the playoff format and take something that Adam Silver was rolling around in the idea of a play-in tournament or an in-season tournament during the All-Star break. You know, he's a very innovative guy, and he's been thinking of things that will bring in more viewership and make things and keep things exciting. So there are benefits to the 1 through 16, and I think that this is probably the heavy favorite to end up happening. Again, I don't like that you two agree to this. I think there are two other formats that I've heard, one that I don't like at all and one that I really do like. The one that I don't like at all is let all 30 teams in.
I do like that one. I like it because we talked about this before where it was like, if they do it as a 1-game playoff, straight up, no best of 3, unless you want to do the championship best of 3, that's fine. But all of them are just 1 game. You one and done. So you get a hot hand, you could have that 16 seed beat a 1 just because they got hot for one night. I love that. I love the March Madness feel to the NBA. And I know it kind of confuses things and mucks it up with the lottery and all that, but the idea of having 30 teams, 1 and done with a 3-game best of 3 championship, I'm all in on that too. Golden State could literally run the table and win the championship if everybody's healthy at this point.
See, but at this point, like, why would Golden State want to do that?
Well, because it's all about winning championships. I mean, what do they care if they get the first overall pick? I mean, I understand you can build on that for the rest of the year. And like I said, I don't know what the repercussions of the drafts would be. If they finish with the worst record, do they still get put into the lottery? Or because they win the championship, don't they? It really mucks things up a little bit.
I think that's the problem with it is I think it mucked things too much up with the lottery because the worst overall team right now, Golden State, regardless of what you think of the goal is to win the championship, I mean, that team wants that number 1 pick more than anything right now, and it's a huge valued asset. And, I mean, honestly, I think you'd see a lot more tanking in that instance. I don't know. I think it'd be rough. I don't like that format at all. I like the idea of, like, a 1-game playoff format, but not that deep. I just don't like that deep.
Yeah, I'd like to let the NCAA March Madness stay unique. There are a lot of bad things about the NCAA, and that March Madness bracket that they have is unique and fantastic. So let's let them stay unique. The other format that I do really like that I think may draw some ire from you guys is the World Cup group stage format, where you take 20 teams, which is more than we would normally have. Again, we're going to scrap what was happening in the past. We're going to start from scratch and have a group stage where you got 4 different groups of 5 teams. You end up having 2 winners out of those 5 groups. Moving on, boom, there's your second round. But you get exciting new matchups. You get a format that the entire world is already aware of and excited about in terms of football. And Adam Silver wants to continue to make this a worldwide game. So I think that the group stage or the grouping format, I think could definitely go far.
That is, ew. I hate that idea.
You're a soccer fan, Sully.
Yeah, and I'm a soccer fan. I love the round-robin tournament and how it works in soccer because I believe the home and homes are important and things like that. But in this instance, you're not playing a home and home. You'd have to play 2 games against each team, and it just gets so convoluted and crazy. Goal differential comes into play in soccer. So what, does point differential come into play here and things like that? I just think there's too much that goes into it. I mean, the idea sounds nice, but once you go further deep into it and really look at like the semantics of it all, I don't think it can actually play out and work, like logistically.
Point differential has been something that they've implemented and used during the Summer League games already, so they're aware of that being added in, and it could certainly be added in a playoff format as well, where you really need to try hard every quarter and not just in that last quarter. So I still think it could be very exciting. Again, I think the 1 through 16 format is the one that the NBA GMs and the Players Association will end up agreeing to. But maybe an alternative question for you guys is, do we just start with the playoffs right away? Or are there going to be any games left over from the regular season to let these players warm up at all? Or are they just going to start the playoffs cold and provide us with their first look at basketball being rickety and maybe not something that is super appealing?
Well, that's the benefit of that round robin format, right? Is if you're going to do regular season games and give them a chance to shake off the rust, then that round robin format kind of gives them that ability to do that. They're playing in this round robin. The only downside to it, though, is that 1, it's not all 30 teams in there. So you got 10 teams who you say, sorry, you can't participate. Your season is actually over. And 2,
the 10 teams that would probably prefer to have those picks as assets.
Sure, yeah. And then the second problem with it, though, is that you've got these teams shaking off the rust, but they're not really exhibition games. These games matter. So So you're shaking off the rust that could oust you from the playoffs.
Yeah, but I think we're going to get that in any circumstance. Damian Lillard has come out and said, he's not playing senseless games. He's not going to play warm-up games for other fucking teams. And I think a lot of players are going to feel that way. A lot of the players that aren't have the ability to make the playoffs kind of thing. So I don't know. Obviously I don't think we're going to find a perfect situation. We're going to have to find one that works best for everybody, but I'm just really excited that fucking sports is back. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh, absolutely. When you bring up Damian Lillard, the reason he's upset is the teams like the Trailblazers, the Pelicans, the Kings, and even the Spurs, with the amount of games that the regular season did have left, they had an opportunity to get to that 8 seed. And is it their fault that they didn't get to that sooner before this pandemic happened? I guess you could go ahead and state it that way. But the Grizzlies, who currently sit in that 8 seed, they had a tough schedule remaining. And so they kind of get a gift of the pandemic, giving them that 8 seed. So that's why I think some teams have a gripe about not being involved at all when they really did have a serious chance of making a run into the playoffs and maybe a potential deep run.
Yeah, I mean, you can't make everybody happy, and it's just one of those situations where you just have to do what you have to do. I mean, imagine if the NBA only allowed one player to get into the Hall of Fame every year, and this year you got KG, Duncan, and Kobe. Like, there's going to be 2 guys who deserve to be there that aren't in there because of that rule. I know that rule doesn't exist, but I'm just using that as an example for hypothetical. So same thing here with the NBA. You can't make everybody happy. Somebody's going to get left out no matter what they do, and it does suck, but it is what it is, and you just got to do it.
Yeah, I agree. It's unfortunately not everybody's gonna be happy. This is a extenuating circumstance. We've never had something happen like this, so people are just gonna have to adapt.
There's gonna be a lot of swallowing of pride because there's also a lot of money being lost.
Based on the formats, I did a bracket for the 1 through 16 format, which I think is what they're going to end up going with. I have the Lakers and the Clippers playing each other in the finals, and LeBron James getting another ring.
Wow, would Los Angeles love that as a city? Think of all the eyeballs that would be on that matchup. I think a lot of people had them pegged as a Western Conference matchup. I certainly had that pegged for me earlier on in the podcast sphere here. I know Wayne had asked me that when we had first started this whole project. So funny that we're kind of being able to circle back here and talk about this being a finals matchup. In that proposal, Wayne, I would certainly have the Lakers winning, and I would have to see LeBron James getting another championship trophy. And God, would that suck.
I think in either case, the Lakers are going to win. I do think this COVID situation really, really, really helps them. Getting a healthy, fresh LeBron and a healthy, fresh Anthony Davis is going to be huge for them. I actually have the Bucks and the Lakers, and I know it's chalk, but I have the Clippers losing to the Sixers in the second round. I think that's where my shock comes for most folks. So I think the Bucks and the Lakers get there, and I just think the Lakers are just too much.
We talk about this COVID situation having such a shock to the sports world and specifically to the NBA playoffs. Is there going to be an asterisk next to whoever does end up winning this championship, boys?
There will not, and there shouldn't be, and there should never be asterisks in any sport whatsoever for any reason. I don't think there was an asterisk next to the 99 Spurs when they won a shortened season championship. There shouldn't be one in this championship. There shouldn't be one next to Barry Bonds. No asterisks. Get them out.
I'm a little in the middle with this. I don't like asterisks for the most part, like shortened seasoned and things like that. I don't. I'll tell you this, though. If there was ever going to be an asterisk, it should be for those cheating fuck Houston Astros who won that World Series with a blatant cheating. I think that might deserve one. Otherwise, I don't really agree with them. So, I'm kind of stuck in the middle there. But for this instance, hell no, I don't think there should be one.
You guys are agreeing again?
I disagree with the Astros take.
Not entirely. Yeah, he doesn't think the Astros should have an asterisk, but because he thinks they didn't cheat. But, obviously they did. And so I think their whole title should be stripped if we're being honest.
It's not that they didn't cheat. I do think that they cheated. I just don't think that their cheating is that big of a deal that it would require an asterisk. It was minor. We talked about earlier in the show that RTF Sports has branched out into the blogosphere, and we're getting blogs out there. I know I've done a few of them, trying to keep it more human interest type stories, trying to stay away from the whole hot button issues. But one of the people we're bringing on now is Brandon Combs, new to RTF Sports in the blogging department, is writing a series of blogs about the best players to wear each uniform number. His first one, which was 0 through 5, drew the ire of many when... Now, Brandon, you'd mentioned to me before you submitted it even, you said, hey, people are going to have a problem with number 5. And I said, did you go with Pujols? Because I think the no-brainer is DiMaggio. And you didn't go with either of them. So let us know what you think.
DiMaggio, Pujols, George Brett, Brooks Robinson, Johnny Bench, Jeff Bagwell, they're all great players. All of them are great. But Nomar was in a league of his own. Nomar was defensively better than any shortstop I have ever watched play the game, probably up until Javi Baez came into the league. Nomar, I think, offensively, if you look at the numbers, granted, some numbers are better, some numbers are close, but Nomar was just as good as these guys offensively, and defensively, he was heads above all of them.
I struggle to find what you consider as just as close with them offensively. Joe DiMaggio has, and granted, these are roughly the same amount of years. Nomar Garciaparra played 14 years. Joe DiMaggio played 13 years, in which he lost his 3 probably best years to a WAR. He still out-hits Nomar Garciaparra by over 500 hits. He has more doubles than Nomar Garciaparra by 30 more doubles. He has more triples by 85 more triples. He has more home runs by, God, what's the amount?
We got 50% more home runs and I think 50% more RBIs.
I mean, the numbers are just staggering. Meanwhile, he also plays a premier defensive position at an extremely high level. Now, I don't discount everything you say about Nomar Garciaparra. I do think he's a very good player. I think he's right on that cusp of, like, great, but I just don't think he's quite there just because of the injury bugs. But, I mean, he had 2 outlier seasons where he hit 357 and 372. After that, can anybody guess what his next highest average is?
308.
Roughly, 320. So the guy hit 30 points less every other season, and beyond that, it was 308, which is another 20 points less. So, I mean, outside of 2 outlier seasons, he really wasn't that great offensively. His OPS is 100 points less than Joe DiMaggio. I really struggle to see how Nomar is better than Joe.
So your argument is that you're saying that Joe, in the middle of his prime, yes, he lost the 3 years to go into war and serve in the country, and he's an American hero and great. I mean, if you look at Nomar Garciaparra lost half of his career due to injury. So I went back and I looked at their best seasons, okay? So if I took Joe DiMaggio's best statistical season across the board, not just like best home runs or best hits, his best statistical season, he had 215 hits, 35 doubles, 15 triples, 46 home runs, and he hit 346, okay? So Nomar's best statistical year all across the board. He had 209 hits. That's only 6 less than DiMaggio. He had more doubles than DiMaggio in his best year. He had only 4 less triples than DiMaggio in his best year. And he did hit 40 points less, but he also had 74 less at-bats than Joe DiMaggio did in those 2 years. Fielding-wise, I mean, it's not even close. DiMaggio's best defensive year, he had 997, phenomenal fielding percentage. He had only 319 chances. Nomar's best defensive year, say his best defensive year was probably when he played first base, obviously, with the Dodgers, because you get so many chances. He had 1,124 chances that year and had a 996. So when you sit there and you look at statistically speaking, I mean, I don't know how you can say that DiMaggio's defensive position is harder than Nomar's defensive position. Nomar's defensive position is the hardest position on the field to play defensively.
But there are premier positions on the field. I mean, if you want to go there, then Johnny Bench. I mean, Brooks Robinson. I mean, Johnny Bench is arguably the best defensive catcher of all time, and catcher's arguably the most important defensive position on the field. So, I mean, like, if you want to go that argument, then it's there.
Brooks Robinson isn't even in this conversation. I mean, you could put DiMaggio and Pujols and Nomar on a different level than you can put, like, a guy like Brooks Robinson or even George Brett. Robinson never even hit 30 home runs in a season. His best average that he ever posted was 317. His best fielding percentage was a 980. He never approached even 600 chances in a season when Nomar averaged 667 attempts for his career.
I mean, they're playing in different eras. One's getting the ball hit a lot more. Also, what's Nomar's error rate? Let's be real here.
Right, and Nomar's error rate is so high. You know why it's so high? Because he gets to balls that no other human being ever had the chance to. He was a better shortstop than even Jeter was.
Those aren't considered errors.
Yes, they are considered errors, but he's making errors on plays that no other guys could get to. Those guys can't get to the ball, so they can't make the errors on the same play. Jeter couldn't get to half the balls that Nomar ever got to. You take guys like even in his own era, you take Jeter, Nomar, and A-Rod, the 3 premier defensive shortstops of that era, and Nomar is better than all 3 of them, and there are plays that he makes that these other 2 guys couldn't even get to. So that's why statistically, they are better because you look at the numbers and they are better, but that doesn't show the whole thing.
So wait, so your argument is that he gets to a ball that another player can't get to and then makes a bad play and commits an error, and that's a good thing in your book?
Okay, so if he gets to a ball that nobody else can get to, he's trying to make a play. I'd much rather have a guy who can get to a ball and try to make something happen.
I'd rather not a negative play that's an error.
I'd rather have him try to make a play on something that nobody else could get to than to just let the ball go through.
I don't know.
Jeter made a career out of that. That's why Jeter was so great defensively, and that's why Nomar didn't really win any Gold Gloves.
Exactly. That's my other point. The guy's got no Gold Gloves. And again, I'm not saying he was bad defensively, but there's no way his defensive merit makes up for what he's lacking offensively against Joe. You mentioned he's got his 3 years that he lost to injury, and he still has worse numbers than Joe DiMaggio. If Joe DiMaggio would have had his other 3 numbers, he'd have doubled Nomar's numbers.
Before Nomar got hurt, and he got hurt in that 2001 season, he had hit 241 his rookie year, which he only played 24 games. Then he comes out, he hits 306, 323, 357, 372, and his average is just continuously climbing, and then he gets hurt. And that is when he starts to decline because he's starting to have all these injury issues. Nomar was headed to be probably, if we have this conversation and Nomar stays healthy, this isn't even a question.
But he didn't, and that's why it is, and that's why you can't have him here.
Okay, so then you can't come at me with the DiMaggio
Well, he still put up the numbers.
Saying,
he still has better numbers,
3.
even though he missed the years. That's what I'm saying. He has better numbers and missed 3 prime years.
Yes, I give you the fact that he's got the better numbers on paper offensively.
So again, that's just my point. So I guess what we're at is I don't think his defensive ability is enough to outweigh his overall lack of offensive numbers, MVPs, awards in general that Joe DiMaggio has in his mantle. And that's not taking anything away from Nomar Garciaparra. I just don't see the argument. If this is peak, then maybe. If this is something like that, but you're making my argument for me when you say he fell off with injuries.
So let me ask you a question. So you go by statistics, you go by numbers, you go by everything that you have on paper right in front of you. Okay? So let me ask you a question. Is Barry Bonds better than Babe Ruth?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then you strictly go just by on numbers on paper what's in front of you.
I think Barry Bonds is better than Babe Ruth because I have a different opinion on Babe Ruth because I have a sort of a tainted opinion if you didn't play against African Americans and the elite players. So I just don't know what Babe Ruth's numbers would have been in a nutshell. I think Barry Bonds is the best hitter of all time. That's not taking away from anything about Babe Ruth. I just think Barry Bonds is the best hitter of all time. And that's not like pure numbers wise because Babe Ruth's OPS and slugging percentage and things like that are just simply off the charts. They're numbers that'll never be hit again. But again, I don't think the defensive ability makes up for the severe lack of offensive numbers. That's all.
And I think that's where we get the disagreement. I think when I was writing this article, in my head I'm thinking, all right, who are the best players to ever wear each number? I didn't want to just go by statistics and what I saw on paper. There are a lot of guys that I've watched that I think are heads and tails better than a lot of guys. Like I think right now I really wanted to at number 9. I ended up not doing it just because I don't think you can right now at this point. But I really wanted to put Javier Baez in that slot over Ted Williams because I think Ted Williams.
You're a Cubs fan too, though. To be fair, folks,
we're right. Fan. Right, I am a Cubs fan, and I watch Javi Baez like you wouldn't believe. But this kid is heads above anybody defensively. He's better than Nomar defensively. The guy, his hands are sick. The way he hits the ball, and I don't think Ted Williams was the greatest hitter like everybody goes out and likes to proclaim. He was a great hitter. He was a great ball player. But he wasn't everything that Boston fans would want you to believe that he is. And then you go down back to the number 5 argument. I mean, people are coming at me with George Brett and Robinson and Bench and Bagwell. And I mean, if you want to just go by numbers, go ahead and look them up. None of those guys are they're not Nomar.
I would throw out there, let me ask you this. So you saying, it sounds like you're going off of in their best, at their absolute best, Nomar Garciaparra's best is better than Joe DiMaggio's best. Is that kind of the direction we're going?
If I have all these guys in their prime and I'm doing a draft and I'm taking guys and I have Nomar on the board and I have DiMaggio on the board in their peak, healthy, I'm taking Nomar over DiMaggio.
So my question would be then, best third baseman of all time is Ken Caminiti.
No.
Well, he's an MVP, 40 home runs, a great defensive Gold Glover at his peak.
Well, right, but you've also got so many of those guys that come along that are the same thing. I mean, you could have gone with guys like Ron Santo. I mean, there are guys that you've never even heard of that were just great third basemen. Dude, I mean, there's all sorts of them.
Well, Dale Murphy at his best had 229 or something like that. The thing that actually blew my mind a little bit early on is you mentioned that Nomar Garciaparra is the best defensive shortstop you've ever seen.
Absolutely.
As a Cubs fan, you never saw Ozzie Smith play a game?
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You think Nomar's a better defensive player than Ozzie Smith?
Yes, 100%.
Wow. The other one I want to get into is you got Lou Brock over Mike Schmidt.
I do.
You got to explain that one to me, man.
So, I mean, look, Lou Brock was phenomenal. He was another guy that people just didn't really... He never really got the credit and the accolades that he deserves. Lou Brock was just in a league of his own. Mike Schmidt was great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I grew up hating Mike Schmidt because he used to pound the crap out of my Cubs. But to me, Lou Brock is the guy there.
Mike Schmidt's career slugging percentage is .527. Just to put, and .380 on base percentage. Career. That's insane. But hey, to each his own. He's got a 200-point better OPS. No big deal.
And see, that's the great thing about this game and about these sports. I mean, there's so many nuances. Like, we got into the argument the other day on Facebook when people started reading this, and then they started coming at to me about how the home run is the greatest, statistical thing that you can have. And to me, if that's something that you actually believe, then you just don't know this game the way that people who love this game know this game. Because the home run, while yes, it's great, it's fun to watch, it's great for fans, it's everything that we want to see on a walk-off, we want to see the bat flip and all that other stuff. There's just times where I'd rather see a single or a double or a guy draw a walk or a squeeze play. I mean, there's so many other things that could go into this game where just a home run, I mean, while yes, it's fun and obviously chicks dig the long ball or whatever they used to say back in the 90s, the home run is not the best statistical thing you can do offensively. It's just not.
I mean, it just is. To be plain and simple, the object of the game is to score runs. A home run puts a run on the board immediately. That's literally the best thing that can happen offensively. Now, if you want to get into semantics and get into a seventh inning situation where a guy's a lefty and blah, 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 like, that's not what we're talking about. The best thing that can happen when a batter's up is to hit a home run. Plain and simple.
Okay,
that's the best thing that can happen.
But see, you can't say the best thing that can happen is for a guy to hit a home run and not put a scenario in there. If I'm down by 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, and I've got my 3, 4, 5 hitters up, or let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So if you go with your best lineup, where do your best hitters hit? 3, 4, 5, right? I mean, maybe the game's a little bit different now, but traditionally, that's where your best hitters hit, are 3, 4, 5. Your best hitter's your 3 hitter. Your 2 power hitters are your 4 and your 5 to clean up after them, okay? So if my 2 guy is leading off the inning, I want him to get on base. I don't want him to hit a home run if I'm down by 4. I want base runners on ahead of my 4 and 5 guys so that they can have a chance to go ahead and tie this game up.
But getting a home run is still the best thing, because what you have to do is, if you're going to say that your 4 or 5 hitter hits a home run and drives that guy who got a walk in, then you have to assume he hit a home run in every scenario. So if your first guy hits a home run and your second guy hits a home run and your third guy, then it doesn't matter. They're all going to score regardless.
So your argument is you want that guy to hit a home run to have the next guy hit a home run to have that. How many teams in Major League history have gone back to back to back to back?
That's not how many teams in Major League history have gone walk, home run, walk up. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I bet you I could name more of that than back to back to back.
Yeah, but it's.
Well, I would say my only contention would be that if you are trying to rally, I would think that the best scenario would be to get nothing but doubles, because you got a guy on second, the catcher has to go to a different sign indicator, the pitcher has to pitch from the stretch, and he has to throw more balls over the plate for the hitter. So I would say that doubles are the most, ideal outcome if you could go back to back to back doubles if you're trying to start a rally.
Right, and that was another reason that went back into my Lou Brock over Mike Schmidt. I think that was my leading factor into Lou Brock over Mike Schmidt, is that Lou Brock actually eclipsed the 3,000 hit mark, and Mike Schmidt did not. I mean, Lou Brock was a phenomenal baseball player. He's a phenomenal defensive baseball player. He was all around a better baseball player than Mike Schmidt. And it's close. Don't get me wrong, it's close. But Lou Brock was a total package.
And Joe DiMaggio wasn't, though, right?
No, Joe DiMaggio. Look, you're acting like I'm saying Joe DiMaggio was a bench player if he's playing on a team with Nomar. That's not the case. The name Joe DiMaggio is why everybody wants to go out and hammer him. If we watched Joe DiMaggio play at the same time that we watched Nomar play, you might have a different opinion. That's why I brought up the Barry Bonds thing. A lot of people, you're one of the few. I actually agree with you with the Barry Bonds and Babe Ruth thing. I think they are a 1 and 1A. I don't think you can go wrong. Whoever you decide is better than the other. But that's why I bring it up, is because a lot of people will tell, Babe Ruth, because of the name. The name Joe DiMaggio, the name this. Joe DiMaggio was great. Joe DiMaggio was amazing. You can't go wrong with Joe DiMaggio. But all around, I think that Nomar, had he stayed healthy, would have had the same numbers in the end, and he would have been right there with Joe DiMaggio. And defensively, he would have put him away. I mean, it wouldn't have even been close.
Well, if I had a 9-inch cock, I would be banging fucking Giselle Bundchen right now.
So did you just say on the podcast that you have a small dick?
I mean, I'm Jewish, man. It is what it is, guys.
I'm Irish, but hey, we're huge in Asia. That's all that matters.
Well, I guess that kind of clears up 5 for now. I know we've got, you're going to be putting out a lot more of these. And obviously I want people to kind of go to the blog page and read all of your numbers and all of your jerseys and, all the blogs in general. I appreciate having you come on and, debate with Dan. And I'm sure that we're going to have you on again because it seems like you like a little bit of that sensational media.
You know what? I love debating sports. So I would, we could have a 12-hour, live podcast at some point if you want. We could just talk sports all day.
Well, it's nice to have you on, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, the stuff's actually well written. I do enjoy it. It's good stuff. If you guys check out the blog, it actually is a decent blog. Even if you, do disagree with his ridiculous takes, you can go check them out and give them a read because they're still worth the read. And again, man, we appreciate you having you on. It was a good debate. I really did have a good time.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
So that's pretty much the show. We wrapped it up, and hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to the show. Hopefully you visit RTF Sports and continue to vote for us for the next couple of days. Check out the blogs while you're on there and let us know what you think. Comment at the bottom. If you think they suck, say they suck. I definitely love negative criticism. I know we enjoy it for the podcast as well because this was going to help us improve. But I definitely love everybody listening and voting for us and taking the time to be fans of Infinity Sports.
Yeah, guys and gals, we really appreciate every bit of support you've given us so far. Continue to vote for us. On every platform that you do hear us, there's a way for you to show your support by leaving us comments. You can rate us, you can review us, and you can share us. So please do continue to do your part. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, again, we just want to reiterate the appreciation we have for everyone who actually listens to us and supports our show. We want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Obviously get out there and check those blogs out, rate, review, comment. Like Wayne said, if you can't tell, I think Wayne's pretty confident in himself, so get out there and hit him with those negative comments and hopefully bring him down a bit, bring him back to earth. Bring us all back down to earth. Don't let us get too cocky here. So, give us your comments, give us your reviews, and thank you again for listening.
All right, what do you say, Kenny? Are we done or what?